It's all like even the soul of Brazilian football, I think, has been snatched. But I think this moment right here, 5-0 down in the 29th minute, is where it reached its lowest point, in my opinion. They've been trying to claw back since then, but I think this was as low as it got. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Rematch. I'm your host, Luiz, and today I'm joined by two familiar faces. You guys asked and we responded. We've got Schurrle and James back on the show. And today we will be talking about one of the craziest shock results in football history. We're talking Germany 7, Brazil 1 in the 2014 World Cup. But before we get started, Schurrle, James, thank you for joining us again.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm enjoying these World Cup segments. These are good. Yeah,
I think it's because we can remove tribalism out the way. We don't. We're looking at it from a different point of view. I think when your team is involved, you always have like a different way of looking at the game because you're probably getting frustrated. This one we really just watch as complete neutrals. Maybe you're looking out for a player or two, but for the most part, none of us are Brazilian, none of us are German. We can really look at this from a completely objective point of view. And I remember where I was for this game. I remember what I was doing, and I definitely remember my shock. I don't think anyone alive could have ever imagined Brazil at home in a World Cup would concede 7, and especially in the manner they did. But the build-up to this game is really important, right? Because going into this, Brazil are missing their two best and arguably most talismanic players in Thiago Silva and Neymar. That Neymar injury, the back injury he suffered in the game previously to Colombia, was such a massive shock to the system. So much so that before the game, David Luiz is holding up his shirt. Almost like, it's almost like Neymar isn't with us anymore. Yeah. And I think they never really recovered from that moment. From that point of view, I thought they were already emotionally distressed as is. How big of a moment do you think that was, Neymar and Thiago Silva missing this game?
I think it was massive. I think you look at Neymar and what his impact was at the time for Brazil, even going back to like previous years, like he was a star of the 2012 Olympics, then going into the Confederations Cup where they beat the reigning world and European champions, Spain. Everything went through him. Even when you watched the games earlier in the tournament, without Neymar, you wonder if they even get to this semi-final because the others weren't necessarily pulling their weight in terms of being attacking forces. I know Fred got a lot of stick for his lack of goals during the tournament. So yeah, losing a Neymar at that point in time when he was the face of the World Cup, everything was riding on him from the nation's hopes to the team's hopes. Yeah, you can't imagine losing a player like that.
Yeah. And what about Thiago Silva? Is he almost as big, if not even bigger a loss, maybe not in terms of name, but in terms of just being the mature head back there to keep David Luiz in check, to keep Marcelo in check, to keep everyone just solidified?
I think so. When you look at David Luiz's performance in this game, he was a disgrace.
Wearing the armband, by the way.
Yeah, let's not. I mean, honestly, I think David Luiz is a slightly disrespected player, to be honest, for what he did over his career. But in this game, some of the defending, and it's not just him, it was a collective, but as an individual, he was so poor in this game. It's hard enough not to have Thiago Silva, who you saw what he did going into his kind of late 30s at Chelsea. He's a class act and he had bags of experience even back then. But, I mean, ultimately, the players that came in, yeah, they just didn't stack up to the level, even just in terms of the basics, forgetting his experience and his world-class ability.
I mean, Brazil had a weird tournament, to be honest with you, because it felt so emotionally charged, this being their first tournament that they were hosting since, I believe, 1950, and already that tournament had ended in such heartbreak for them. This, at this point, was 8 years on from their last World Cup win, so it came with so much expectation, and when you have an entire nation's hopes and dreams resting on your shoulders, I always feel similar to Morocco in this last AFCON that eventually that is just such an overwhelming feeling. But they got to the semifinals despite it being very, very difficult, going to penalties against Chile, narrowly beating out a really good Colombia team. But on the other end, Germany had kind of just grown and grown more and more throughout this tournament. They, of course, beat Portugal 4-0 in the opening group game. They had a really tough game against Algeria, which I always remember because I felt that in this tournament, we ran them the closest of any team, and then they beat a really good France team before. But I think a big part of this team, as they grew, was the inclusion of Miroslav Klose, who obviously entered this tournament hoping to make history, but actually started the tournament off the bench as Mario Götze was used as a false nine. But that inclusion of Miroslav Klose, I think, was the big talking point going into this game. And he was ultimately... No, he wasn't actually. Thomas Muller was actually the first person to opening the scoring in this game off a corner kick. A fantastic finish after 11 minutes. But at this point, it had been a nervy start from Brazil. Do we already think, 11 minutes in, already 1-0 Germany, this could get ugly? Or is it more so a feeling that okay, it's a bad start, but they can recover.
It's a difficult one because Marcelo had a strike from distance. And, there's a little bit of sitting deep from Germany. But ultimately, you're right. At no point did they look like, they've made the kind of start you'd expect from the home nation in a semi-final. It wasn't a game that had a lot of pace in it, if that makes sense. Yeah, it was kind of so open. And that kind of makes you worry for a side. It's not like you're getting blitzed by kind of flying wingers from Germany. It was just Germany looked more tranquil in what they were trying to do, more reassured, and probably did for the whole tournament.
I think that's the right word here, because if you look at this Germany team, there is no real natural width, even in terms of the full. Like Benedikt Höwedes is hardly some high-flying fullback. There's no natural winger in the team, but everything about this German side just felt so controlled, as you said. In fact, when we talk about like the prototypical German football team, this almost was the perfect representation of that. So in control, so emotionally calm, so physically dominant as well too. And then a few minutes later, I think the worst 10 minutes for any football team in the history of the sport. 1-0 to Germany quickly becomes 2, and it's that man, Miroslav Klose, starting this game in place of Mario Götze on a mission to make history, and he gets it, ironically enough, against R9's country in their stadium. The all-time goal scorer in World Cup history is Miroslav Klose. Brazil could be out of this just as quickly as it started.
Yeah, I think it was one of those interesting situations where even going into it, I remember feeling like Klose would score because I just felt like the record, it matching up against Brazil, it's got to happen. That's just me having that hoodoo prediction sort of situation rather than actually going off any kind of logic. But you don't, even when they scored the second goal, like Brazil are obviously shell-shocked and emotional. I think you could feel it if you watch the broadcast, like going into the game, like you said, that the shirt, but it's even the crowd is like, is that nervous energy. And I feel like once the goal started pouring in, the first, the second, that's when you start to see that these guys look a little bit disheveled already, because like I said, without Neymar, there wasn't much going forward. So you're already thinking 1-0 down. Could they even get an equaliser along the way? 2-0, I felt like it was out of the question because Germany, similarly to, I would say, like Spain as the previous winners, just had that level of, it's like quiet dominance. Like you might not appreciate everything they do as like a football fan, like you said, there's not flying wingers, not this, but it's just efficient. It's good
German
football, and the scariest things about teams like this, especially even with Spain, it's like even if it goes to a shootout, they will outscore you, but they could also go and beat you 1-0 and look dominant. But yeah, some of the passages of play that they started producing at this point, fluid as anything. Like I've never really seen. I'm sure that gets a bit later on, but it's like, do you ever really see moves that like start with the forwards, end with the DMs, like getting on the end of things? And that's when you start to question, were Brazil even remotely prepared for this?
Well, actually, if I can jump on that, right? That second goal, watching it back, I couldn't believe it because it's the kind of goal I would have understood at 4-0 down, almost like 4-0 down, 80th minute, you've been humiliated, you're done. This was 2-0, like really early in the game. And I'm watching, and I've picked on him already a little bit, but David Luiz and a few other players, like, they get passed around each other, and then they honestly turn around and watch it. There's no picking up a runner. There's no just sprint. It's not even chaotic defending. It's not like, oh my word, back against the walls, everyone just throw yourselves in the way to try and stop it. It felt like an almost acceptance of what can we do? Yeah. And the lack of desperation, I found that really strange. It was like at 2-0, they felt what they probably felt at 6 and 7. It was really, really strange on rewatch.
I think you can like, if you go back and watch every goal, you can look at any particular player, where, especially from the back four, and go, why are you there? Like the ball's there, why are you here? Or like they've passed it there, why are you in this position? And I just don't, maybe is it too far back to ask for like structure? Is this like, was it viable in 2014? I don't know. Like, it feels like you're watching like,
especially when you're watching Germany on the other side, who are as organized as can be.
But you know what I mean? Yeah. But it's like, that's the sort of thing you'd expect, like from, I don't know if you ever see like the old like Netherlands clips of them like trying to do offside traps every 2 seconds. It was scary to see, and considering the replacement for Thiago Silva was Dante, right? And in fairness, when you watch the goals, like Dante is kind of trying to hold his position and see what's going on. It makes me question all the other players in the back four, because was Thiago Silva really reining you all in that much, or was it just an accident waiting to happen based on the opposition you were playing against? Because you could argue they hadn't played a top level team up until then. Like we were talking about just before, probably the hardest game was Mexico.
In terms of the result, but
in
maybe
terms of the
Colombia
result,
on performance maybe was the toughest team, maybe you could say.
But they hadn't really, and you look at Germany's path to this game, and they've played Portugal, they've played France, they've played
Chile or something.
No, they played Ghana, they played US and Algeria.
Oh, right.
So it's like, on the merit of teams, I feel like they were better prepared to get into a big game. But then, the defending.
You say, like, in terms, it almost feels like a team that are playing like football from like 40 years ago in terms of how out of control they were. But I think when you look at both these two teams, you're not that far off. I mean, you look at Luiz Felipe Scolari, who won the World Cup in 2002, and the way he set this team up. At one point as well, too, it's Dani Alves and not Maicon, by the way, right? So he's playing with two high-flying fullbacks. He's playing with two defensive midfielders in the 10. He's playing with three forwards. Neymar doesn't defend. It's like, it does feel like he was trying to play football that worked for him 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Whereas Germany, I feel at this current moment, are playing the meta of football in 2014.
Yeah.
This is what a 2014 football side looks like. And in fact, everyone almost copied this German team. That Bayern side were so dominant in Europe. Guardiola came to Bayern a few years later. It felt like this was what an elite football team looked like in 2014. And when both of these styles clashed, on top of already the emotional mess that Brazil were in the moment, I think humiliation was always bound to happen. But the craziest thing about the third goal, right, is I remember Klose scoring. I remember them saying, oh, he's broken the record, blah, blah, blah. The replay shows, and then the game restarts, and Germany are on the edge of Brazil's box again, and it's 3-0 Toni Kroos. Like, that is just how ludicrous this game was.
But it's funny you say that, like, in terms of how you view both teams and then leading into what happens next is, if you, like, Germany's team reminds me of the Spain team 2010, where they had, like, no recognized, like, they didn't really play with wingers.
No.
But it was just players that can control the game and make things happen, which I always think, you can demolish teams, but over a course of 90 minutes, you're going to have the lion's share of possession and create more chances. Brazil trying to recreate what they had in 2002 with, no disrespect, Bernard, Hulk and Fred, when you used to have Ronaldinho, Rivaldo and Ronaldo. Like, it's nonsensical.
Yeah.
And it's, like you were saying, the team was not structured and was given all this freedom to do what they need to do. Ergo, it made them more emotional. And, like, in fight or flight, they picked the third option, cower away. Even the spine of the team, like, you're asking, how do you score a second goal and get the ball back and score? Look at the four players that are in the middle of the pitch and how they're playing. Now, all respect, like you said, David Luiz, good player. Dante, in his own right, still going till this day. Good player of Fernandinho, Luis Gustavo, all in their own rights. Play. But in 2014, in this stadium, as it's happening, these are, no disrespect, bottom tier players in the way they're performing. It's a hard one to talk about. Like, I feel like last time we spoke about one of the most exciting games. I have no words for this game.
Yeah,
it genuinely worries me watching it back, because it's like, how do you get to this point?
Did it make you reflect on whether football's changed in terms of, like, it felt like quite a slow game on rewatch. It did feel like, I couldn't believe how open it was for the lack of pace in it. I couldn't believe the counterattacks Germany had for the players they had on the pitch. Like we said, it wasn't high-flying wingers. It wasn't even like Podolski, Draxler, Schurrle would have added something of it.
What I will say, though, about this German team was their press was ridiculous.
Yes,
their press was so organized and so high tempo. And again, I think it was such a great reflection of that Bayern team, who I thought were outstanding those days. But they could just press the life out of you. And I don't think Brazil could cope with it whatsoever. Like, they were just forcing mistakes out of them at such a crazy rate.
Agreed.
And then the mistakes would literally be on the edge of their box, which in my opinion is why when we watched that game earlier on, when we watched the highlights, Marcelo's never in position, Maicon's never in position, David Luiz is chasing back. The press was so suffocating that more time than not, Brazil just weren't capable of coping with it whatsoever.
Yeah.
I think it's also the old saying that the ball travels faster than a man.
Yeah.
So when you've got positioning and precision coupled into one, like, you can't get near. Marcelo can be as fast as you like. If, like, we know the type of player Muller is. If Muller stands in the pockets, where do you go? Do you go to him?
Nah.
Do you stand off him? And because I feel like individually these defenders, none of them are have the reading of the game that Thiago Silva has, for example. Like, I don't think they were ever going to be prepared to cope with it. Maybe a Marcelo 4 years down the line after he's a three-peat winner, Maybe if they had that Dani Alves later on.
Even Fernandinho at this point, by the way, is not the DM we know. He's playing as an 8 under, what's his name?
Pellegrini.
Pellegrini. He's not even like a holding midfielder like that yet.
Exactly. So Oscar's like in his second year in England at this point. Bernard's not even come to England yet. I think he's still at Shakhtar. He's still at Shakhtar.
He's the Neymar replacement,
Hulk's playing in Russia at the time. Is it Russia? Or he's gone? No, he's not going to China yet.
Nah, somewhere. Yeah, I think
so you're looking at but so when you look at...
And Fred is playing in Brazil, I'm pretty sure, at this point. I think he's back home.
Exactly. So, and then you look at if you look at the German team, you ask where they play. Like Mourinho said.
Yeah, look,
where they play, how they play, if they play.
If they play.
That's a great quote, that.
And it's not to say players can be good at different places, but when you've got a team where one, a lot of them are teammates, two, I think with how structured Germany is as a nation, they all grow up with the same mentality. Because like at Özil, you could look at it and say, does he even work in this? In terms of like how people view him as this like lackadaisical player. But I see the Ozil I've seen in a Germany shirt is really intense.
But you have to remember, this Germany team, right, came together around the same era where they were really restructuring the way German football was being played at that point. And a lot of these players were in, that 2009 side, under 21s that destroyed England. You look at the squad, most of them were playing Ozil, Kroos, Khedira, Boateng, Neuer as well too, Hovedes. I think they all came together. They played together. They had that great 2010 where they narrowly missed out. They missed that out on the Euros. They lost in the semifinals in 2012. So this was like a group collective that we're building together, and this was really the final version of it. But it's like you said, they all just worked so well together, man.
I think because it's teamwork, man, and that's the thing I appreciate the most about this German performance. It's not one of those where you can say this player carried or this player did the most. It was just it felt like everyone was involved.
Which is unique about a World Cup winning team, by the way, because when you look at the blueprint for what it takes to win a World Cup, for the most part, over history, the overarching pattern is you have a good defensive unit, for sure. They're good defensively, and you usually have one guy who's like the maverick of the side, whether it's a Zidane, whether it's a Pele, whether it's a Maradona, whether it's a Messi most recently, R9. That's usually how World Cup winning teams happen. In fact, Argentina were probably thinking that was their blueprint. This Germany team almost rips that up and completely redefines what it takes to win a World Cup. Because like you said, there's no... Ozil on paper might look like that guy, but I didn't think he had a great tournament, to be honest. If you look at everyone in totality, they were just a great team.
It's interesting you say that, because you're right. Even to offset what Mbappe does, Deschamps went for Matuidi on the left, didn't he? You know, to just have a little bit more balance, and Giroud, who kind of played a more selfless role than a 9 normally would. It's interesting, Ozil, because he's not, you're right, that maverick type, but there was definitely a sense from Joachim Löw of like, I got to get him in the team. I think he started the Portugal game maybe on the right wing. If I'm not
he was
mistaken.
playing more off the sides. 100%. But I think the best player in this game, and funny enough, scores the 4th goal, which comes 69 seconds after the 3rd. And this just tells you this is demolition. Like within the space of 10 minutes, Toni Kroos yet again grabbing the 4th. I think this game right here put Toni Kroos on the map. Already we knew who Toni Kroos was, a great midfielder, but I think this solidified him as elite, in my opinion, one of the best in the world.
That's interesting. So he moved, didn't he, after the World Cup to Real Madrid?
Yes.
So, wow.
He had just won the...
I wonder how locked in that was before the World Cup, probably. But
these are the days
I think he was announced he was leaving by the end of the season.
No, not at that point, because he joined Real Madrid. Because remember, it was like Alonso went the other way as well too. That was after the World Cup.
Was it after
the World Cup?
That's interesting. And then James Rodriguez, obviously.
These are the days where Real Madrid have eyes locked firmly on the World Cup, and whoever shines. Ozil in 2010, they brought him. These are the days where that happens.
And the one who got away. He's not playing this game, Neymar. He ended up at Barcelona, but could have gone to Real Madrid as well.
But Kroos makes it 4-0. I think this game, if you watch it, obviously, it's hard to like really take too much away from a game where it's this chaotic. But I just think amongst all of this chaos, Toni Kroos was just, I mean, no pun, Kroos control, bro. Like, he ran the show, man, and then got goals on top of it as well, too.
Nah, he was sublime, and it's interesting to watch him like go from, if you really know Toni Kroos, go from like a number 10 and drop back over the years. But like in this game, I feel like everything went through him, and for Germany in this tournament, I feel like a lot went through him. And you look at maybe why Özil didn't have a great tournament to a degree, because he didn't have that, like everything they go through him like it usually does. But you look at even when you look at that lineup, you've got like your two, let's say, guys that are going to sit in Schweinsteiger and Khedira. Then you've got, I would say, Özil and Kroos that are meant to be the controllers, and then or the creative players, and then Muller and Miroslav Klose, your finishers. But I feel Kroos, in this game he was class. But it's just, he was so reliable, he was so effective that I think it maybe exposed something about Ozil that when someone else shines a bit more, that he can kind of go into his shell a little bit. You probably saw it at times, like maybe at Arsenal when Alexis was there, like he did contribute, but you always think like, oh, he should be the star, but he wasn't. But Kroos, I feel like he showed no mercy in this game when he could have just relaxed by now, but he showed no.
But that's the Germans in general, man. I never felt for a second like they were going into this game with the idea that they were going to put their foot off the gas. Yeah. They were just ruthless, goal after goal, attack after attack. This could have finished 10, and they wouldn't have minded. And then 29th minute to wrap up the worst 10 minutes for any team in the history of the game, Khedira. With a fantastic finish, by the way. That Khedira goal was incredible.
There's some bangers in this game, you know. I don't think we do some of the goals.
But again, like it's just another, like the cross finish with his left, unbelievable. Again, another great finish from Khedira off a layoff from who I think it was Ozil. Yeah. But it's just, how on earth, as a Brazilian player, do you not just burst into tears at this point?
But again, a lot of standing defending. Yeah. A lot of players just completely caught out and watching it happen around them. Not even an ounce of kind of desperation of just throwing your body almost. We talk about players looking busy and we go, oh, you can't con the fans. Try con the fans a little bit here. There was a lot of that. I liked the way Germany, for all the issues Brazil had, you're right to credit Germany and say that they kind of really... They were the epitome of what football was at the time, and we saw Jurgen Klopp's Dortmund coming through at that point lot more. And I like the way they just executed these goals so nicely. And you're right that Ozil was never the star of this Germany team necessarily, but even with that Kroos goal, he plays a really lovely weighted pass out to the right. Like, he could just play it on the outside of the defender, he plays it on the inside, just making that a little bit more difficult. And then with the cutback, again, you're 3-4, where are we? 3-4 up? You can easily justify just taking it on your left foot and hitting it, but he's just cool, calm, composed, and recognise that Khedira's in a better spot just to tuck it away. Is really, really efficiently executed from Germany, and great to watch.
That was another thing that was scary about it, where it's like when teams go up, you start to see players start try things or like, it's like, let me get in on the action. Everybody's eating today, and it was like, no, clinical. They're still trying to like play the normal way and the right way to keep it going. I don't think many teams would do that at this point in time. Like, I think you start getting to the score lines now. Guys want to start like scoring from wherever.
That's the thing with Germany, they're just so well drilled, man, honestly.
It's a mentality thing. It's definitely between the two, as much as we can look at what happened, it was a mentality thing, because I think if the roles were reversed, Brazil go 1-0 up, there is zero chance that it ends up at that score. And that's not because of the caliber of players. Neymar could be on the pitch, Thiago Silva could be on the pitch. Let's say it's even full. It's the way they think through the game. Everything's logical. Everything's efficient and well drilled. It's not. It's let's get desperate. I think with Brazil, it's like they had a rush of blood. Like, I need to go back. The one thing I need to do is go back and watch the national anthems, because I need to look in their eyes and see if the signs
they're
were there.
holding Neymar's shirt up like he died, bro. He's still alive. You know what I mean? Like, from there, honestly, it was like, oh, these guys aren't all the way there right now, bro.
It's why I wanted to make such a big point about that second goal, because it's like, a 2-0 down, you're going to be a bit shell-shocked, right? 20 plus minutes in, you're 2-0 down. But I think rather than go, all right, we need to get on this, I think any good manager and team just recognises, actually, if we can keep it to 2-0 by half-time, we've done well. Yeah. Just regroup, just nothing silly.
Which is why I'd love to know what's going on in Luiz Felipe Scolari's mind right now on the touchline as all these goals are flying in.
They kept cutting to him and he was just going, and I'm like,
you're the coach. Like, do something. You're a very experienced coach, by the way, in Scolari. This is a guy who's coached at numerous. He's won the damn thing, right? He's coached at the biggest clubs around the world.
But he won it. But come on,
you
man.
Would just.
He won it with arguably one of the greatest teams ever constructed.
Sure, but you would. Still,
I think I would have at least got to a semi-final if I was on the touchline.
Of course.
Then you forget who he was manager of in 2004.
Portugal.
Yeah, of course. And who did they lose to on home soil?
No, I get that. But
so this should have been inevitable.
But you just think that a manager with that wealth of experience can manage situations like this better. Because David Luiz is emotional. Marcelo is emotional. I get all of that. You're an experienced manager. Surely you, of all people, in that moment, can calm down and say, okay, these are decisions I have to make on the fly. That's what you get paid big money for.
You get paid big money, but I'm saying at the same time, again, we talk about emotions. I think rehiring this guy was emotional.
100%.
Because his managerial career from, like, let's say Portugal onwards.
Yeah, he was at Chelsea for 6 months.
It wasn't great.
No, it wasn't good.
And I couldn't, off the top of my head, tell you everything he was doing in between. But it's like, because they look at it and say, you were the source of our joy over the last like 10 years or so, whatever it was. 10 years prior. We'll give you that tournament. You'll bring it home again. We haven't lost here in 39 years. We're going to reclaim the history of 1950 and win this tournament. This guy was not fit to work, bro. He was not fit to work. Because look at, like, I'm even looking at the bench. And I'm saying to you, if anything goes wrong in this game, who's turning it around for you? Well, look at Germany's bench, look at their bench. And I know for a fact, I would have to go and look into the database here. There's better players that could have been put on the bench than these players.
Oh yeah, that they didn't call up.
They didn't call up.
100%.
Well, you say the bench, the 11s. I mean, for all we can talk about tactics, the individuals, whatever, you actually just look at the player for player. I mean, if you're doing a combined 11 between the two, I think you do well to get...
Germany... I mean, it doesn't help. Okay, let's call it what it is, though. If Thiago Silva and Neymar is there, it's a lot different. But yeah, for the most part, Germany, they have 6 of the Bayern Munich team. They have the best goalkeeper of all time. They've got one of the best fullbacks of all time. They got... Everywhere you look, it's excellence. And then Brazil, Fred... brother, I remember Fred when he was at Lyon. Okay, decent player on it back then. Fred's been in Brazil now for 5 years. Joe, for God's sake, was at Manchester City. Yeah. No one remembers him there. It's just the funniest collection of players at this point. And I think, just to end this whole conversation about the squad quality, I think this moment right here, when you look at that Brazil team, is the moment that marks the decline of Brazilian football. Seriously, when you think about all the brilliant names, this right here is as low as it got for them. Not even from a scoreline point of view, but even from a quality. No. I think this squad right here, obviously, again, no Neymar, no Thiago Silva. Yeah. Bro, come on, look at these names, bro. Joe, you're looking at Enrique. You're looking at Jefferson. You're looking at Bernard. Come on, bro.
No. Do you mean from a player quality perspective?
Player quality point of view. I think this is the lowest point without Neymar and Thiago Silva.
I have to say, like, I remember talking to my dad, when I started to I got into football quite late. I think it was around 2006, 2007. And I remember talking to him, and I'd ask him, why do you love the World Cup, whatever, and he'd always be like, Brazil would rock up and they'd just blow us away. And I wouldn't know all these players necessarily, but they'd just blow us away. And I'm yet to have that feeling of Brazil at a tournament. And I think the first I really remember, I remember 2006, but I was just a kid watching it. 2010 was when I was like properly watching football. That was dark. And I think I haven't had ever that feeling. And by the way, I'm not trying to be too harsh on Brazil. I want that I want to see that, they rock up in yellow, with that famous kit, and they're just balling out. And I don't know. Maybe the game's evolved too much. There's too much data. We know too much about players, and I don't know. Maybe the playing field's leveled out a little bit to a degree. But ultimately, you're right. Like, the player quality just isn't there.
James, let me just take this moment to tell you,
that's never gonna.
It's over, brother.
Yeah,
it's over. Because
that hurts.
Like 2006, fair enough, right? 2010, I think this was the final nail in the coffin. But 2010 was dark, like to the point where they didn't even call up Neymar in that tournament, where he at that point is 18.
He was probably
he's killing it in Brazil. It's just like, you've got 23 spots, give him one of them, and then they're going there with Alano.
Even Ronaldinho, he was having a good season for Milan, and Dunga refused to call him up.
Exactly, and that was the thing where it's like, okay, they're going away from Brazil. This one was the final nail in the coffin. And since then, in fairness, like, yes, you've had your Neymars, your Coutinhos, Firminos, and it's
These
all
days
right.
You've got Rafinha and Vinny.
But you look at the lineup now, and we say, okay, on name value, some of these guys are good. But in terms of Brazil players, they're not great. Like your Rodrigos, I think at one point there was a thing where if you took Rodrigo, Vinny, and Rafinha's numbers for Brazil, they still haven't. That goals and assists was even up to Neymar's goals.
And you know what it is as well too? This is just statistically. Then you look at like the vibe of what made a Brazilian player a Brazilian player. No one gives you that joga bonito feeling. No one gives you like the dancing and the skills. And that's the thing with Brazil. People back then would go and watch Brazil because it's a show. Forget about whether they win or lose. They always talk about the 1982 team. That's the greatest team that never won the World Cup. But people were going to go see Zico, and they're going to go see Socrates and stuff like that. Who are you going to go see now on Brazil, bro? It's all like, even the soul of Brazilian football, I think, has been snatched. But I think this moment right here, 5-0 down in the 29th minute, is where it reached its lowest point, in my opinion. They've been trying to claw back since then, but I think this was as low as it got, even from a quality point of view. We get to halftime, right? You're looking. They're showing you images in the stadium. You got the old man of his World Cup trophy, who was seen throughout the tournament, right? The smiling guy with his trophy. This time, just depressed. You're seeing kids cry in the stands, just shock, horror. I always remember the woman as well too, who literally looked like she's seen a ghost. Brazilian players walking off, shell shocked. I'm gonna ask the question again. How did none of those Brazilian players not just break down on the pitch? I think honestly, if I was Marcelo or Luiz, I think I would have started crying at 5-0, 29 minutes in. I think I would. I think I would have started crying.
I think it would have been a good time to have those cameras in the changing room, like they've had at recent World Cups. I know there was tears in there.
No, we talked about Mbappe. Like they showed the clip of him talking to. I would have loved to see David Luiz in that.
I know there's a file somewhere. They've burnt it.
Bring us FIFA. Bring us the files. We need that.
I think if Brazil win another World Cup, I think they might go back to dig that up the archives because I can't imagine. Like you look in the stands. I'll be honest with you guys. I might be the villain here. I laughed, but I only laughed because it was so awkward.
Yeah,
like you're not crying because you've just conceded a last minute winner. That's heartbreaking. You guys are crying knowing that, especially we're seeing these images at halftime. It's been 15 minutes since the 5th goal. You lot are in tears, and I'm like, looking at the old man, just put the World Cup down, bro. Like, just put it down, and it's not yours anymore.
Put it in the bag, man.
Telling the kids, I get it. You know, I've cried at football matches before, but for me, if they really wanted to show like how much this hurt, everyone should have just left. Half time, I would have left.
I know, honestly.
What are you hoping? Because you're crying because you think if something goes the right way, they're going to pull it back to 5-5. It's not happening. Go home.
5-5, imagine. Imagine this point, I'm thinking it's going to be 10, bro. Honestly, I think it's going to be... And then you think about the Germany dressing room at this point.
Yeah.
They must be looking at themselves like, yo, we might be the greatest of all time. We're beating Brazil 5-0 in Brazil at halftime. Yeah, I'm thinking, I've completed the game, bro. Forget about even the final. We won it.
Do you think that was the moment, not to do too much here, but do you think it's the moment they won the World Cup a little bit? You know, in terms of like...
I think because Argentina played the next day, right? I'm pretty sure they played after.
No, they played...
No, I think they did because
they played first, didn't they?
I think they played after because I think there was like a feeling of like, oh, it's not 7-1. I'm almost positive they played after because it was such a different game to the first one.
Didn't it go to penalties?
Yeah, it was a 0-0 penalties.
But that's why I think that in my head, they played first because I was like, oh... I remember watching that thinking, oh, it's a 0-0.
Nah, I think it was after because I think it was like almost like it was like, okay, this is like a calm game. Like this is like completely I'm almost positive they played after. Maybe the producers can tell us, but like I don't think to answer your question, is this the moment they won it? I think they respect Messi and the Dutch too much, honestly. Yeah, because there's two really good teams on the other side.
That should have been the final.
What's that?
Netherlands, Argentina, bro.
Netherlands were fun that tournament as well too. But yeah, at halftime,
Netherlands in that tournament.
They were fun.
They were fun. Van Persie, Sneijder, that back five.
Yeah, they were fun.
I did like them.
They demolished Spain. Was that the 5-1 that year?
Yeah, that's that game. It was what's his name? Van Gaal, who was coaching them before he came to United. But if you're at halftime, Germany, are you thinking like, okay, now let's just pass it around them training session vibes, or are you thinking, yo, let's go for the record. Let's try to put 10 past them, huh?
If you're Germany,
yeah.
The thing is, what we were saying earlier, that they just kept playing the game like it was 0-0. Basically, I know we hear that cliche, you know, when you're playing Sunday League.
Imagine Joachim Löw saying, okay, second half, guys, it's 0-0.
0-0, guys, don't give him anything. You know, I'd laugh at coach if they told me that. But they probably were just so drilled, like, you know, basically stay focused. Because I know it sounds crazy, like nothing's ever going to happen. But you concede maybe 2 in 20 minutes, and suddenly you're a little bit like, this could very quickly become the most embarrassing night for us. Obviously, it never went that way. They were incredibly professional, but they made changes. I mean, Mertesacker came on at half-time just for the sake of it. Why not? Because, you know, thanks for your service, mate. Get on the pitch and enjoy this. So, yeah, I think they were just ultra-focused, but they recognised that they could make a change. And
then Brazil, of course, made their changes as well, too. Paulinho and Ramirez coming on for Fernandinho and Hulk.
That was about
I don't know what the hell
minutes too late.
Yeah, honestly. 100%. At some point, they should have taken off an attacker, brought on another midfielder, but at this point, it's just damage limitation. But I think the big substitution you got to look at was Andre Schurrle, who came on after 58 minutes, and honestly, what an impact coming on. Granted, it's 5-0 already, but adding 2 more goals on top of it in the second one. The absolute pick of the lot. What a crazy finish on his left off the volley.
Yeah.
Roof of the net, bar down.
I'm looking at David Luiz again. I'm sorry, have you seen him? Have you seen him? And he's got runs off David Luiz for the second one. But great finish. We'll talk about the quality of it. But the first one he scores, honestly, like, I am demonstrating as much movement as David Luiz does in that moment to defend that goal.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's it. Let's move that out of the way because I've slagged him off 6 times already in this pod. But Schurrle, I mean, you're a Chelsea fan.
Yeah.
I felt like he was always just a really calm finisher.
Yeah,
he just kept his head.
He's a bit like,
especially off the bench.
He's a bit like Trossard, to be honest with you, when I think about it, right? Like in terms of just like, he's not like the craziest 1v1 player out wide, but you give him a half chance, good off both feet. He reminds me a lot of Trossard now that I think about it. But what an impact. That finish is crazy.
Crazy. He was very both-footed as well. But I think, to like even take it back to the second half mentality, I don't think Germany wanted to score again. I think they had that bit of respect where it's like, we've kind of killed him, let's just manage the game. Because they could have scored at will. There's no way you can convince, especially considering they've only taken off a centre-back for a centre-back. The attack is still the same. They can go and get another 3-4 goals. But then, you could, and it's more, it becomes more obvious that that's the case when Schurrle comes on. Because Schurrle comes on and scores a brace. And he's like, well, yeah, if you're the sub that's come on, you want to do something. You might want to earn your spot in the final. Even though I don't think it'll mean much at 5-0 to go score 2 more goals. But it's like, you could see that Brazil was still as open. You could get chances to score at will. And I feel like André Schurrle proved that. And yeah, I respect Germany for being respectful of the home crowd and their opponents. But yeah, like I feel like when you watch it back, you'll see that they were definitely they were doing a damage limitation for them. Because Brazil had no chance of doing it themselves.
Was it respect or was it we've got a final, let's not give everything to it? Because, you know, one sprint and you pull a hamstring. I don't know, maybe every player was just thinking, listen, I'm not doing anything. I'm not going into that 50. Maybe just little things that you go, we're through, job's done. I don't know, you might be right, but...
Do you know what stands out for me as well? This might be like the most Roy Keane thing I've ever said in my life, right? I'm looking at the lineup and I'm seeing that Brazil only got 1 yellow card in that game.
Do you know what?
To me, that suggests a lack of pride.
I hear it.
No, but I'll be honest.
He's like, just go on in, hit someone.
Just to make myself feel better.
Yeah, kick someone to make it's unbelievable.
No, but I'm being honest.
He's right. How did Brazil not end the game with 10 men at least, bro?
No, but if you
that's shocking. Facts.
It's not about even the 10 men. It's like, you know the way they were defending? Like, just running out. And I'm saying, so not one of you did a late tackle. One of you grab a shirt. And it's David Luiz. Sorry, David Luiz.
This is the game that made David Luiz a meme, though, right? I think this is the moment, because at this point, right, he still had blunders at Chelsea, of course, but I don't think he was ever seen as like a meme. I think this game really changed his reputation for good.
He left Chelsea off during the tournament.
I think, did he go to PSG, then come back to Chelsea?
2014,
yeah.
Because I actually like David Luiz. I think he was a good player, had a much better career.
Yeah, a lot.
But you're right. So what were you going to say about... you're right. No one just bringing someone down or just doing anything.
Yeah, like something petulant. Like for me, I think like, maybe because I'm a sore loser. But if I'm losing at something, and there's a player, I just be like, let me just out of frustration or something. And I think it speaks to yes, they were emotional, but in the wrong way. Because why is that like? Oh, like this is happening to us, not turn into anger or turn into disappointment in your own performance to the point where one of you just does something. You've played 4 different central midfielders. Not one's got a yellow card, which means you weren't getting near them. David Luiz was running out. People are passing it around him. He's not even tripping up the runner that's going off him just to stop the attack.
That's a good point.
Like, no wonder you concede 7 goals when nobody is making any preventative measures. 1 yellow card. One yellow card.
Poor man.
I'll tell you guys, in future, when you watch those big games and it's a high score, like, look at the amount of yellow cards.
Schurrle, you know. Bears,
yeah.
He's influenced me. I believe in...
Big baby.
It's actually only 1 yellow card in the whole game.
That's insane. That's insane. Brazil gave up at this point, even though Oscar scores the greatest consolation goal of all time.
Is it? The greatest?
It's the greatest.
Nah, Klaas-Jan Huntelaar against Real Madrid.
No, that was an incredible finish. It's not the greatest in terms of finish or quality or whatever, but just in terms of like, that is so irrelevant.
Yeah.
That's for me the greatest consolation goal of all time. Even now, when something happens, you know how like there's that meme, it's like Chris Paul with a big 3 or whatever. Oscars is like the football equivalent of that. Oh, huge goal to make it 7-1 to Germany, man.
Have you seen that meme? It's like someone's Snapchat story, like, maybe was it Rooney's son? It was like lost 5-4, scored 4.
There you go, man. Lost 7-1, grabbed the only goal.
I wonder if Oscar's sort of sat there going,
not did my job.
Bagged in a World Cup semi-final. Like,
I'll take it.
I wonder if there's an element of, you know what, I'm leaving here with something.
I'm leaving here with something. I'm from around the way. I mean, he's literally from around the way, man. He's leaving here with something.
It's true. like to even take it, that's probably the best equivalent of a game is that Western Conference Finals game. The
Chris Paul, man,
the
huge
blowout
three to make it 70-34 or something.
Because
like that.
like even the way, so I know someone in the comments might appreciate this, but like the way Dallas jumped out to a lead in that game and never relinquished it is the exact same way Germany did it, and it was just by good, honest basketball. In the same way, football, it's like when you get beat, you can accept the team is better. Like I don't think going into it, like I know in hindsight we're looking at this 12 years later, so we can say this, that, and the other, but you wouldn't have thought the discrepancy between both sides was that high. And then you watch them in this game. Then you watch them in the third place playoff, which I know they would have rotated the team a lot. They lost 3-0 to that. Did you guys know that they finished with the worst defensive record at the 2014 World Cup?
Well, I'm not surprised. But also, like...
yeah, but of all the teams.
But you're right. I mean, 3-0 against the Netherlands on the weekend after. I mean, that was embarrassing as it is.
But they were so emotionally destroyed after that game, man.
I know, I get it. But also,
it's easier said than that. You're going to say, oh, you got to bring yourself up. Allow it, man. You just lost 7-1,
yeah,
bro.
But I'm saying the fans, though, it's like you're killing Brazilian football by doing this. Like, you're embarrassing.
It was already dead, bro. Come on.
But you've not lost in 39 years at home.
Yeah.
You've got another home game to, like, at least end the tournament with some sort of, not pride, but you've just won the game. You say, like, this is still our country. That was a blip. You go and lose 3-0. And then it's indicative of everything that's happened since in Brazilian football. Why there's no pride, there's no passion, there's no flair, there's nothing. It's a soulless yellow Nike shirt nowadays with 5 stars in it. And the 5 stars are relics of the past. There's nothing... honestly, it's a sad state. Neymar didn't deserve this because, like, when I think of this tournament, I try to, like, block out this game because to me, like, Neymar announced him, like, for the context of it, Neymar's going to Barcelona in that summer.
No, he had already joined that.
No, but I'm seeing that he's going to be in Barcelona after this tournament. Yeah. So for most people, you might have missed him at the 2012 Olympics. Hopefully, if you're a football fan, you watched the Confederations Cup and saw how good he was. But this was the first look at this version of Neymar that's going to be playing alongside Messi. I just remember, I didn't care what time they were going to be playing. I didn't care when they were playing. I was watching the Brazil games just to see what he was about. And I think he made a really great account of himself, even though his first season... No, sir, tell a lie. He was already at Barcelona.
That's what I said. He's joined.
Yeah, sorry, it was his first. Sorry,
Confederations Cup. Yeah.
Sorry, I mean, like after his first season, which was a bit quiet, people got to see him. Then obviously they go and win a treble after that. But yeah, that injury was peak, man. People said it was. He said it in his documentary. It was like a couple inches in a different direction. He's paralyzed.
It's crazy that he had that season after with Barca, and he was so good in that, but. The game ends there. I mean, the funniest thing for me is when Oscar scores the goal and the Brazil fans lifting their arms as if like, hey.
I'd have done the same.
I just can't believe how many of them were left in the stadium, man. Seriously. I would have been gone after 4. I think after 4, that's it. 3-0, you always think, ooh. Liverpool 05 always in your head. After 4, I'm out of there.
Is that the club fan in you, though? Or do you think maybe there's a degree of national...
Maybe I'm just a pessimist at the end of the day, bro. But 4-0
down,
come on, you're going... You're home. It's not like you're taking a plane somewhere else. You're home. Like, I'm out of there.
I'd have been gone.
I think the tickets were expensive. That's why they stayed.
I mean...
Get your money's worth. And to be honest, you do get to a point
where... your money's worth more if you leave, brother.
But there's also the side of it where, like, I can imagine as a football fan sometimes you're marveled by what's going on. So it's almost like you're appreciating, because there's a point in the game where they start olaying all the Germany passes, and obviously it's a majority home fan. So maybe they had respect and appreciated what Germany was doing. Me personally, I'm out of there. I'll be on Copacabana.
I'm gone, bro. For real,
I'm going on Ancestry.com to see if I'm like 2% German or something. Like I'm seeing if I can leave or something. Because
how crazy that is. Brazilians trying to denounce their own heritage. Insane.
I think, to be honest, for the good of them, it's probably a good thing that they lost this game. Because I don't see, like, even if they scrape through this, I don't think they beat Argentina in the final.
Yeah, losing to
Argentina in the final on home soil.
Come on, bro.
Yeah. I don't know. In all seriousness, and we make our jokes, I think you've gone there. It's a weird one. Maybe at kind of 4-0, you almost feel worse. At 7, it's kind of so incredible that you're like, what's going on here, if that makes sense. And it's a World Cup semi-final. Yeah, it's been a bad night. You probably just stay and enjoy the occasion.
Can you imagine Brazil on that night after the game? Like, just the whole country.
Bro. They said that when they lost in 1950. Was it 1950? Yeah. There's like people crying in the streets, like the country was in pandemonium because I don't know if you ever guys have ever watched the Pele movie. It's not a great movie, but it actually starts. The opening scene is the 1950 World Cup. He's watching it with his dad. The country's in uproar, and then I think he says something like, "Yeah, I'm gonna restore greatness to Brazil." Anyway, they probably made that up. You know how it is, but yeah, I can imagine like lights are off. Bars are closed.
This is Brazil, by the way.
Look how England was after the Euro final.
Yeah, and this is that on crack, man. Seriously.
Yeah, that's that on the day.
And you know the worst thing is after this game, they just got destroyed 7-1 by Brazil. A few days later, they're probably supporting Brazil in that final, man. Like they're probably supporting the team that just. That's what Stockholm syndrome, bro. Fall in love with your abuser. Crazy.
You know what's crazy? You know who I feel bad for? Really and truly, Dante. You know. Because you weren't even supposed to play in this match, and you're playing against all your teammates,
you're
and they
probably
beat you
wondering,
7-1.
Silva, why did you have to be suspended, man? This could have been you.
So
By the way, a rule that has to change. I'm sorry, like we can't be having like players missing semi-finals and finals because of like 2 yellow cards, and that's something that.
To be fair, I think it might have changed since then, but
we should just scrap it overall, man. Just red cards only. Be out for like.
Yeah, I actually agree. Unless you literally accumulate like 4 games in a row, then maybe it's like.
There's only what 7 games in a total. Oh, what this World Cup's gonna be 8, isn't it?
Yeah.
So just play. Like I get it over a 38 game season. Yeah, if you get 5 or 10 yellow cards and all this stuff, you miss 1 game. But that's 1 game out of 38. You're talking about 7 game tournament.
There's also 2 in like the first 5 or something. It's like it's so innocuous.
And
isn't it?
I would say as well, like the reason I would take that away, I would just switch up. Like just find them instead.
Let me ask you this though: if Thiago Silva plays this game, first of all, if Thiago Silva plays this game, what's the score? Neymar still doesn't play.
4-0.
4-0.
4-1. I'll give us
4-1.
back.
Okay.
There's no 4-1 maybe.
There's no.
I don't know.
So you don't think it's like you actually think anyone could have played?
The defending was so bad.
But don't you think like even like David Luiz wearing the armband, like Thiago Silva's wearing the armband instead?
I think they needed someone who just went. Everyone rein it in.
But is that not Thiago Silva?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, I actually think it's a lot closer with him.
Oh, you think a lot closer?
Yeah, I actually do.
Oh, wow.
Because I don't think... I think David Luiz is a disaster in this game, man.
Yeah, he is.
But even from like a mentality point of view, when I see him with the armband holding Neymar's thing, I even think that Thiago Silva probably tells him, yo, put that down. Like, yo, allow that. I think you just need an adult in the room at that point. And they didn't have one. I think that's the biggest issue here. I think this game is a lot more respectable if Thiago Silva's there.
I don't think it's Thiago...
Maybe 3-1?
I don't think it's Thiago Silva as much as it is Neymar.
You reckon? So you think Neymar being here, the game is closer than Thiago Silva's
I say from a mentality perspective, because if you go 1-0 down, you've still got the golden boy to try and dig you out of it.
Maybe Brazil fear that. Or
and
Germany
I feel like
that
once they went 1-2 down, I'm looking, no disrespect, I'm looking at the front line, I'm seeing Fred and Bernard, bro. What are you going to give me at 2-0 down? No wonder I'm running around like...
You know what?
And to be honest, we've put a lot on the defense and we've put a lot on the front three, right? Luis Gustavo and Fernandinho were nothing short of disgraceful in this game. If you actually watch back,
that's why Casemiro comes into the team a few years later, right?
Bro, don't get me wrong, they develop into whoever, like, especially Fernandinho. But in that game, they were like genuinely abhorrent to watch. And it's, of course, if you've not got a good midfield, then the back line has more pressure on them. I still don't get Maicon playing.
Bro, Dani Alves was a disaster in this game, this tournament. It was a disaster. Him and Marcelo as a pairing. First of all, Dani Alves for Brazil was never really that great, honestly. Yeah, there's a reason Maicon was even keeping him out a few years earlier than that. I get it. Maicon was definitely towards the end. But Dani Alves for Brazil, bro, honestly, I just never worked, man. Never.
It never did, but I don't know, man.
You do think, though, sorry to cut you, Carl, that for everything we were saying about the 11 just then, and I was having a pop as well, with Neymar fit, with Thiago Silva available, and then you look at some of the players like Ramirez, he was always just someone you could rely on just in the heart of midfield. I don't know how
you could have said that about Gustavo at that point too. I know it's a bit revisionism, but Gustavo at that point was starting for Bayern. Like, he was a good player.
He was a good player. Did he have the legs of Ramirez? Though?
No, definitely not.
Because
this is where Fernandinho used to. Fernandinho was he was playing the Ramirez role at this point. So like it was actually Gustavo who's probably more of the sitter.
But I even look at Willian, like. Willian is a good player. He's at Chelsea at this point. He was playing under Mourinho. I think there's a world in which Oscar's not in central midfield and maybe just play him off the left for the sake of it. You've got Neymar, you've got Willian. You go for something more robust in the midfield three.
Especially when you look at Khedira, Schweinsteiger, and Kroos as the three.
Yeah.
There's legs, there's industry, there's power, and there's technical ability as well, too. I mean, if Khedira is your least technical midfield in the three, you're doing okay there.
Yeah.
You compare that now to Oscar, Fernandinho, and Luiz Gustavo. Yeah, it's a joke. And you know what? I take it back, actually, about Thiago Silva, because I just remembered he was part of that team that lost 6-1 to Barca a few years later. So I'm acting like he's going to just cover all the holes.
I'm telling you, man. I love Thiago Silva as well. It's just... and we should get people to actually look at like what the alternates could be. Because I'm looking at the list, and I think it's the same with like a lot of Brazil squads I see. I look at the list and I think, half of you just name fillers. You're just there to be there. Because what does, for example, like a Joe or a Hernandez or even Maxwell at this point of his career, like what do you offer other than like
experience?
Yeah, do you mean over like younger talents who could have maybe had a bit more flair, a bit more? Is that what you're saying? We don't know the names.
You got to be a bit more. Yeah, you got to be a bit more daring. And I feel like Brazil, ever since I would say maybe this tournament 2010, they've kind of just gone for like the obvious. We know them, we trust them, rather than let's try something different that's not like that we haven't done before. Because even now, going into 2026, like Neymar's arguably my favourite player of all time, right? But if fit, he's going to walk straight back into that team because they know what he's done before. Not necessarily because he's played any games prior to that. Whereas like they might not start, because of that, they might not start an Esteval, who's really started really brightly for his international career. They kind of... Still, they can persist with a...
Like Jesus will probably go to the World Cup. I mean, again, I don't know the options off the top of my head.
Hendrick would be like the only other... Like,
Will Ancelotti take him? I don't know, man.
No, but I'm thinking of forwards. Like, who's strikers? Like Igor Jesus?
Igor Thiago at this point, bro. You might be going on the plane. Yeah, 100%. Let's get to a few categories. I have my answer for this first one, but I'll definitely ask you guys as well, too. Most important moment of the game. Mine is David Luiz holding up Neymar's shirt. That's my most important. From that moment on, I looked at Brazil. I was like, "You guys are not ready for this game. You guys are not. Why are you acting like he's dead? He's in the. I don't know. He's watching from a hospital. It's bad. Why are you acting like he died? Why are you holding his shirt like that, bro?"
I hear it. No, but they copied it from because Germany did it prior to the tournament when Royce got injured like. I think in the warm-up game.
He got I think
it was the ACL or something, but he was out for a while. So they held his shirt up to like say he was here. But that's at the start of the tournament, you know what I mean? Doing it in a semi-final.
During the anthem as well too. Yeah. Oh my God. I was like, guys, you need to be calm. You got the biggest game of your lives. And you guys are oh my God.
You took the answer straight out of my mouth. I was going to say that or the national anthem because I think the game was over before it started in hindsight.
For me, it's probably the second goal. Just how easy it was. I went, oh yeah, no, okay, yeah, this is going to be bad. Because there's not an ounce of shape 20 minutes into the game.
Wait, is the third goal the one that's straight off kickoff?
Yeah.
No, I might even say that instead. Because I think that like the game's done at 2, but conceding a goal like that is you've wrote yourself off at that point. Because 2-0, theoretically, even if they took that to half time, you might have a prayer.
That's exactly what I mean. Whereas with that, but it's the manner of the second goal, that closer goal. Like he even did that thing on FIFA where he hit it off the keeper and then put it back into the net after. Like it looked like I'm not watching a real game here. Yeah. This is.
I just remember looking over at my friend like, what the hell is going on? Like, how is this real? How is this a real game of football?
Where were you?
I was at my friend's house. I remember at this point, how old am I at this point? 2014. I'm 16 years old now? Watching at my friend's house. We were expecting like an amazing game. We've watched most of the World Cup games together, right? Because at this point in the U.S., football is growing, but we're not 100% there yet. So I didn't have that many people I knew that were watching the game. I knew he would. And I remember we were watching pregame an hour before, and then 4-0. I was like, what's going on here? Like, this is... Is your TV like glitched? Does it just keep showing the same goal over and over again? It was crazy. Was there a moment you'd forgotten watching this game back?
Ooh. No. I don't think so.
No,
the Luiz thing I did forget. I actually did forget.
I remember the finishes, but it was like the defensive positioning of players for goals, especially David Luiz. I was like, I remember you guys being out of sorts, but I didn't remember like David Luiz being 30 yards out while the ball's in the box.
I think I don't want to discredit Germany because they won it and they were amazing. They're an amazing team. I think I'm surprised that they didn't look as amazing as the scoreline suggests, if that makes sense. It looked so easy for them, but I suppose maybe maybe that I found a touch underwhelming on rewatch. I think I thought I was going to like be watching like the Galacticos or Prime Barca type, 7-1, the goals, must have been amazing. And on reflection, I just kept, like you said, thinking about the defending. But the David Luiz holding the shirt, I'd forgotten about that. But the goals always do the rounds, like once a year. On Twitter or whatever.
Even opening goal, like considering from a set piece, Muller's just free to.
It was awful.
To just tap it in. I'm like, you
should never score a goal from a corner like that. Like let it fall onto your right foot to tap into the back. It's awful.
Even Julio Cesar at this point, he's like 4 years past his peak. Honestly, like.
Yeah, but what was the alternative at that point? Jefferson or?
To be fair, you're probably right. Yeah, I think 4 years later, Alisson burst onto the scene. But yeah, man, just poor, man. What's the biggest managerial decision from this game? I think it's starting Klose.
Oh, for Germany
or for either team. What's the biggest managerial decision? But I think starting Klose was the best thing that.
Had he won his place in the team by that point?
I'm not sure because I think against Algeria they were playing false nine or Schurrle was playing up front. I can't remember who it was. France, I'm not too sure, but definitely this was one of the first games he had started.
Yeah, that's a big call.
Yeah, because I always think with Germany, right? There's a few things that define a German national team. One of them is a great goalkeeper. I always feel like they got a great goalkeeper. And then striker. They always have an out-and-out brute up front that just knows where the goal is. Even this whole false nine thing with Mario Götze, I'm like, that's not you guys, bro. That's a Spanish thing. That's a Brazilian thing. Germany plays a real number 9 up front, and he finishes the tournament with 4 goals or more. Even Muller, though, he never like even in 2010 it was Klose. The last Mario Gomez started the Euros in 2012.
But in 2014 against Portugal, did he not start?
It was Götze playing as playing as a false 9. Yeah,
he started in the 9 and then Götze was on the right.
They always have a 9 for me. So for Klose, I was like, you can't leave this guy, especially when he's on the verge of making history at World Cups. That's his tournament.
Yeah, I feel like it was going to happen. I don't know why, but
talk to me a little bit about Klose because he's one of those guys where you look at the difference, between club football and international football, performance-wise. I don't think anyone encapsulates that more than him.
I think
because I think he had a good club career.
Yeah,
he was world class for Germany.
He was prolific at times in his career, and when you look into his journey to making it to the top level, like. You gain a lot of respect for him because he didn't go like the traditional route.
I think he was born in Poland, right?
Born in Poland. I think he moved over, then he worked his way up the divisions. Obviously ends up at Bayern and all these clubs.
But Bayern never really worked out. He was good at Werder Bremen. I remember Werder Bremen, he was really good. And that spell at Lazio. But I would never have thought in my entire life Miroslav Klose was a top 5 or maybe even 10 striker at club level. But international time, oh my God.
But you know what it is though? I think it's one of those things where I feel like it's an old thing where it's like, this person is so good for their country, it almost doesn't matter what they're doing at club. I couldn't even tell you what he did in the 13-14 season leading into that, if he even deserved to be on a plane over other German strikers.
Well, was he Lazio at the time?
Probably,
maybe. But I don't know if he was scoring a lot of goals, and I don't know. He could have been, but I can't remember him being up there. He
could have been playing in MLS. They would have called him
exactly. But it's almost like that sort of thing's been neglected in football now, where it's like, oh, well, this player, he didn't play 38 games, he didn't score this amount of goals. But it's like, do you know he can score for your country? Yes. Do you know that he performs well in that shirt? Yes. So he deserves to be there. It's not about, like, there is a meritocracy to get into a national team. And I understand your club level should get you in there. But everyone knows that if you don't score, you could go goalless for a club and go to a World Cup and score 5 goals. I don't care if there's outrage about it. You should be on the plane rather than the guy who's going to score 35 goals at club level and might not offer anything in national.
And there always used to be the thing with England, right? Why does he keep calling on Maguire? Why does he keep calling up this player?
It's a great point.
Because whenever they show up for their country,
they're good in the shirt.
They show up 100%.
That's really important. Yeah.
Look at R9, for example. Like, R9 was so instrumental for Brazil that the guy burst his knee twice, came back, played like 9 games, and then went to the World Cup and was top goal scorer in 2002. Because they know what you can do in that shirt. And it's the same with, and I've said this for like the last 2 years. Everyone's like, Neymar's done. I said, if Neymar is fit, Neymar will be on the plane and Neymar will start. Why? Because they know what he does in the shirt. Doesn't matter if he's played 50 minutes for Al Hilal and was in a relegation battle with Santos. They did get continental football, by the way, in the end. He will be on that plane. He will be instrumental and he'll play. Like even 2022, he was injured after like the second or third game because of a tackle that went in.
Ready to come back.
And against Croatia, he still showed out
Yeah.
because he's good in a shirt.
Yeah.
You think because Vinny was about to win a Ballon d'Or, I'm going to trust him with the keys to this country.
France, I always say the same thing. Giroud was starting so many times for Deschamps because he trusted him. International football is all about who you can trust. And Klose, Podolski, similar. They were the guys for Germany, no matter what they were doing.
Kante will be there in the 2026.
I'm sure Deschamps will do his best to bring him back.
Yeah, environment matters in football. Yeah. It's a weird thing in football. We kind of, in other sports, you acknowledge that there's different competitions and different environments, and the game can be different. I mean, on tennis, for example, it's you literally have different surfaces. But for some reason with football, we never really want to differentiate what it takes to win an FA Cup, to a Champions League, to a Premier League, to an international tournament. There's different requirements. There's different managing your body, managing the expectations, managing the type. How do you play the 90 minutes knowing there could be an extra 30 compared to a Premier League game where you leave it all out there till next week? Like, there's different ways, and all these coaches will be thinking about all these things. And someone like Klose, he just in that environment thrived, and fair play to him, because we will always talk about him probably more than we should for the level of player he was. I mean that as respectfully as possible.
100%.
Yeah.
But what an amazing career he had.
Well, I just feel for him because he's not going to have that record for long, man. Mbappe and Messi are going to break that this year.
But you know what's crazy? When you think about like Klose, even from a profile fit, he fits the team. It's like if you've got that level of creation and control behind you, and they're saying we just need you to get on the end of things. Same with like Muller. I know Muller's more would be more involved in build up to a degree, but it's like we just need you on the end of things. And I think sometimes national teams just overthink what the role of a striker and what you need from these sort of players. The same way I look at England in a similar way, where it's like, yes, Harry Kane can drop deep and do all these things, and yes, he needed that at Tottenham because of the level of players. But I'm saying you have to build. I always thought that where Southgate went wrong was build something where Kane can be the man on the end of chances, because I know if you get him the chance, he'll score.
He's gonna score.
Allowing him to play 50 yards away from goal and spray a pass out wide for the ball to get recycled back to the fullback, and then we're finishing where we started in the first place. I said it didn't really make sense. So hopefully this summer,
Voltemade.
Well, for Germany,
is that he's
the most un-German striker I've ever seen in my life to have a German passport, to be honest with you, man.
Who else is...
I think it would be him, even though he's not scored much.
Last tournament when Fulkrug was coming on for Germany, I was like, you know what? He's not pretty, but this is a German striker.
They tried it with Kai Havertz, really, and it did.
That ain't a German number 9, man. I'm telling you. You need the guys who aren't the prettiest. They aren't the most elegant, but they just know how to put the ball in the back of the net. You look throughout the history of German football, there's always been one.
Yeah, so even if you go by Fulkrug, you've got Mario Gomez, Klose.
Bro, even back in the day,
obviously
you go back Gerd Muller. They always have someone up front, bro. Karl-Heinz, they always have someone. And now they're rocking up with Voltemade, who I love as a striker. But he's a number 9 that wants to drop deep and recycle the ball.
Well, he does get on the end of things.
Yeah, he's a decent
I hope he's got a great tournament for them, because I want Germany to have a good World Cup. I feel like we haven't seen Germany since this tournament really compete for a tournament.
I want Brazil to have a good World Cup.
That's something we didn't actually say that, though. We didn't really look into it. The fact that both of them have been very underwhelming since this game.
But Germany, I think this was they had Euro 2016 where they went to the final as well, or the semifinal. But I think this was really the culmination of this era of players, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but 2018 they went home group stage.
2022 they went out group stage. I think this tournament was because if you remember, 2008 they went to the final, 2010 they went to the semifinal, 2012 they went to the semifinal, 2014 they went and won the whole thing. So that was really the building of this German team. But I think after this, Lahm retired, Klose retired, Schweinsteiger retired, a tournament later, I think it was coming towards an end at that point.
Yeah, but then the real discussion then is about that 2009 core, the under 2021 side, because they should have been the future, but they didn't carry.
But they did. They gave you 2010 and 2014.
No, but I'm saying, but that's them at the beginning. I'm saying a lot of those players, they're like 35 now, or 35-ish now. So let's say the last World Cup, they would have been 30. 2018, they should have been in their prime years.
Here's that. But it's for me, if I look at Spain and that group of Xavi and Iniesta, they gave you 2008, they gave you 2010, they gave you 2012, bro. That's good right there. I think Germany, they could have won a Euros in that period, but you don't really see often a national team, a core group, go for 3 tournaments in a row. I think France, somewhat with Mbappe and Dembele, I don't think you often see it, man. I think you really get 1 to 2 tournaments.
But I don't think they were necessarily out of their prime or not good enough to do. We're talking about a team that went from winning the World Cup
Yeah.
to not getting out of the group in back-to-back tournaments.
Yeah.
And why I say that is because, one, there was a lot of... It got very political. I think that generation of players had too much say and too much input into what was going on in and around the team. Obviously, the Ozil situation was that on its own, which I think dismantled the let's say team cohesion. Then I feel like the battles between the elder players and the younger players that were coming in later, like, I think their legacy as a group, as a core, probably is more negative than positive when people start to look at it in hindsight. Because 2014 is a while ago. We lived through it, so it makes sense. But if you tell someone that's really young about that 2014 team, and he go, well, what did they do after that?
But isn't that most teams that win the World Cup? For a while, the team who wins the World Cup almost always goes out in the group stage anyways. You had France, France went out in 2002, Italy in 2010,
Italy
they went out.
Yeah, but Italy have been even worse.
But my point is, it's not like Germany are not an outlier here. Spain won the World Cup in 2010, group stage 2014, round of 16 2018, round of 16 2022. This is kind of the history of World Cup champions, right? I think it's so difficult to really have sustained dominance past 1 to 2 tournaments, which makes what Brazil did, to be fair, in 98, 2002, 94 super impressive. But that's an outlier for me.
Yeah, but I look at it from the perspective of, I don't want dominance. I'm not saying go and win the World Cup or get to another semi-final. I'm saying, like, get out of the group. Like, you can't get out. If you can't get out of the group, that says you're one of the worst nations to shop. So you've gone from one of the best nations to one of the worst nations.
That was regular. They were not like one of one to do that. My point is, you look at the winners.
Not to this extent. Okay, obviously, other than Italy, but Italy is...
But I just told you Spain won it in 2010, 2014 group stage, 2018 round of 16, 2022 round of 16. Yes, okay. They won one stage. It's not like they lit it up.
Yes, but they got out the group. Are we underestimating the idea of not getting out the group?
I hear it. But
not getting out the group is like, it's for example, I'm a Chelsea fan, right?
Yeah.
So you could say that in 2012-13, if we had gone out in the round of 16, wasn't a big deal. We went out in the group stages and went to the Europa League. That's embarrassing because we were the first team to do it.
But to be fair, Carl, 2022, it's a different team for Germany. It is. Like, you're looking at it, Musiala, Havertz. Okay, but if you look 2018, it's still that core.
Yeah, and that's why I was disappointed with it.
Is there anyone that stands out to you as a man of the match in this game?
Toni Kroos.
Toni Kroos.
Yeah, sure. 3 out of 3.
I think he could have been player of the tournament, to be honest with you. I think he was that good. Obviously, there was James, there was Robin, Messi, Neymar. I think in terms of peaks, those guys maybe reach higher peaks. But I think in terms of start to finish, tournament-wise, I think Toni Kroos lit up this tournament, man.
Yeah, Kroos was class. He was class act.
Yeah, unreal player. And I kind of forgot that he played higher up the pitch a little bit at times and then sort of evolved into the 8 and the 6. Just an all-round brilliant player. He was a class finisher as well. He did sometimes in front of goal.
He scored against you guys. Like, I swear, the same goal twice in 2 years against Arsenal. I remember that for Bayern. I swear he scored the same goal twice in 2 years.
Probably. I must have just...
blocked out.
What about unsung hero of the game? I might go Khedira, you know.
Yeah, I liked him. I liked him in this game. I think it was weird. Like I said, moves that are ending with DMs on the end of it, and just like, yeah, is anyone else? Yeah, probably him.
Yeah, like I already mentioned, I thought Ozil did well for some of the goals for sure. They were kind of a group of, dare I say, unsung heroes. I sound like I'm being disrespectful. I don't mean to be. I mean it in the most respectful way. They just went about their business. So
it happens when it's a team with no superstar, like no recognized bona fide superstars. Yeah, you look at them and they're like, oh, this guy didn't really get the credit he deserved throughout his career. This guy didn't. Schweinsteiger, for me, was so good at one point. When he transitioned from a winger to midfielder, I think he had a 4-year run where he was so good. But I don't think I ever hear him in the conversations of best midfielders of his generation.
And they were cohesive. Like, Müller was everything but a right winger, wasn't he? Because he was what's that word from Football Manager? He was all about getting into the right spaces, smelling and sensing where the ball's going to end up. Ozil, wasn't playing as a 10. But if you look at where he ends up for some of the goals, he's out on the right, linking up play down there for, I think, the third goal, the Kroos goal. Then he's the one cutting it back to Khedira. Like, there was a cohesion as well. This wasn't just, let's get our best players on the pitch, keep it tight, keep it sensible. There was a degree of flexibility. And, it was good to watch back.
What's the most 2014 thing about this game?
You said it. It was the system, I think. It was the press. It was the kind of maybe the
The
model that
gegenpress,
has taken over a little bit.
I think especially when you look at how Spain crashed out in the first game, right?
Yeah.
And then Germany throughout this tournament, it felt like this was going out from one era where Pep and Barcelona had just redefined football to a way I don't think anyone had seen before, to now you had already seen, I think, Barca lose 7-0 on aggregate to Bayern in the semifinals around that period. And now this Germany team were starting to really become the model for everyone. I think this was really one era to another.
There was a headline, Tiki-Taka is dead, after Spain lost 5-1 to the Netherlands.
Yeah.
And I always thought, I mean, you play that style of football right, you can never stop it.
honest.
But go on.
When you look, but when I looked at that, and I saw, because going into that 2014, you see Spain going similar to you say things. It's not you. I'm seeing them. Diego Costa's up top for them.
Yeah.
And I said, like, I love Diego Costa. And he's class, but it's like that's not you.
Yeah.
Like
I agree.
he should be in a Brazil shirt right now, and not because of nationality, but just like that's the kind of player they need. Versus like, go put your false 9 or you're nifty. And I remember watching him thinking, like, Iniesta's moving it, and it's getting to him, and it's just like, it's heavy. It's not this. So I think there was a big shift.
Yeah.
The Germans, especially when you think about like what Dortmund did to Real Madrid as well. But the most 2014 thing, I don't think we actually saw it in that package, but I remember distinctly is the lineup graphics. Okay. I haven't seen anything like it before since. They were just so
I was going to say
wacky.
The boots, man. Honestly,
the boots,
the Hypervenoms, that whole World Cup boot package was cold, man.
No, the marketing campaign was
so good.
It was elite. Do you remember that Nike advert with the animated players going around Brazil and that?
Right,
and when they played against the Android
Winner stays
players,
on. Winner stays on. I remember that one.
Winner stays on was another.
This is my favorite World Cup ever, by the way. 2014, my favorite one.
It's one of them. Pitbull dropped a banger as well.
What's it called? The one with J-Lo and
It was a great World Cup.
World Cup was vibes.
I'm getting excited for this year.
I'll be honest. The boots is very 2014 because I think most of them don't even exist anymore.
Yeah, like, that was really. Was that the first tournament where we saw like the high?
The high socks.
That's the first one.
Socks.
Yeah, this was
Neymar had the
World Cup.
gold Hypervenoms.
Was that the
green? No.
No, he had gold ones. They made
it was red. They were red, no?
You had red? No, you had red ones,
Yeah, I think you had red ones.
Was that the boot with the Nike tick that went all the way around, like I don't know, the swoosh went off the top and then like round the side? I don't know.
I think so. I love this World Cup, man. Maybe it was my age, but I just feel like World Cup in Brazil, the football, I think the best players were really, really good. It was just a great World Cup.
Kickoff times were good. I remember 2 a.m. game, I think Ivory Coast
in Japan, was it?
Yeah, I think that was it, yeah.
Sergio Aurier scored in that game.
My mum looked at me like, what are you doing? I was like,
it's football.
I'd just done my A-levels as well, so I was like, okay. It was a great summer.
Is this the worst collapse in football history?
Yeah.
You see, for me, as a United fan, the 7-0 always sticks out to me. But it's just incomparable because this is Brazil at home in a World Cup.
Yeah, I was going to say, you was away from home as well, so it doesn't feel that way.
But in terms of collapse, because we were 1-0 down in the first half and it was a close half, I never in my wildest dreams thought we would concede 6 the way we did. But this right here, forget about even the biggest collapse in a game. Like the biggest collapse in 10 minutes is just.
And you know, is that it's low, not low. But it's like low stakes in that game, right? You have to think like something comparable would be another semi-final or like in a title run-in or like a big like obviously it's recent, so it comes to mind. Maybe like Inter versus PSG, like losing 5-0. But even then, it didn't feel as like this was. If you weren't there, I'm sorry to say, but like I've never sat there with essentially my jaw on the floor thinking, what am I watching?
You're right, because Inter PSG, it was wow, but it was like, you always felt like something like that could happen. It's like, oh, okay, PSG are really, really good. Inter are not as good. This game, I think honestly going into the game, I was like, oh, this could go either way. Like Brazil, really, they could turn up and
they missed a lot of like, people who watch it back, who didn't watch it at the time, they miss a lot of like the context in the build-up, which is like they say, they hadn't lost on home soil in 39 years in a competitive game. Yeah. Like, they were trying to rectify 1950, like, the passion, the ambience. Like, even though other teams were playing, it felt like the whole tournament revolved around Brazil. So, there was no chance in anyone's mind that they would go and disgrace themselves like this in terms of a scoreline. And it's a scoreline... Honestly, like, we're talking about it 12 years later. I think we'll still be talking like 40 years from now, 50 years from now. Like, it's one of those results. Yeah,
you said it's like the stakes. They were the home side. It's a World Cup semi-final. Like, at least with the Champions League final, I'm not saying it's not as big a game, but at least it comes around every year.
Yeah.
It's every 4 years. And how often do you host it? Like, Yeah, it was huge. It's sad to say, and I really hope Brazilian football comes back, and I really hope that we get those players that get us off our feet. But yeah, it was a bad day.
We're going to go through each of the lineups. Schurrle, you'll take Brazil, James, Germany, and just give me a word or a sentence to just perfectly describe them in this 90 minutes. Nothing about their career, nothing about what they've done, because there are some big names, just in this 90 minutes. Julio Cesar.
Washed.
Maicon. Also washed.
Yeah, washed. He was washed as well. I can't really remember too much he did. So, like, in fairness, he's getting it a bit light from me.
David Luiz.
Emotional, shocking, car crash.
David Lewis.
Rush of blood.
And this was David Lewis.
Yeah. All this David Lewis.
Dante.
Lippy, that's, how I felt about him.
Yeah. He got the yellow card.
Yellow card, yeah. He got the yellow card, but yeah, I'm sympathetic for him because his teammates are on the other side.
Marcelo.
Lost.
Luis Gustavo.
Shocking.
Fernandinho.
Abhorrent.
Hulk.
No superhero. He's not a superhero.
Yeah, great
Bruce Banner. Bruce Banner.
That's it. That's what I was thinking Kryptonite. I should have said, yeah. Bruce Banner. Consolation goal.
Chris Paul.
Left with something, yeah.
Bernard.
He played.
Fred.
He played.
Shouldn't have started.
Okay, we'll go to Germany now. Manuel Neuer.
Oh, the subs don't get no loves.
Surprise, man. Manuel Neuer.
Untroubled.
Yeah, fact. This is the easiest game of his life.
Nothing to do.
Philip Lam.
I want to go with a similar word, but just like classy.
Jerome Boateng.
Dominant.
Mats Hummels.
Easy. Do you know what I mean? They didn't have anything to do.
Benedict Höwedes.
Steady. Just a really steady player.
Sami Khedira.
Powerful, man. Just like his up and down running. Sensational.
Schweinsteiger.
I'm going to go leader. Just a bit of a leader in that midfield, I think.
Thomas Muller.
Clutch. Like, just such a clutch player.
Toni Kroos.
World class. What we were saying about him announcing himself. Yeah, I'll go with that.
Mesut Ozil.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this word the most. I'm going to go selfless. I think everything he did in this game, from out of position to his involvement in some of the goals, totally selfless out of this game, I thought.
And then Miroslav Klose.
Record breaker. Yeah, we'll go with that.
We'll go Andre Schurrle one more, because he actually did something off the bench.
Do you know what? You asked for unsung heroes. Like, I think just a player I really enjoyed watching over his career, despite it being at Chelsea. So, yeah, just unsung. Brilliant.
Yeah, no, big impact off the bench. Even against Algeria, he came off the bench and scored against us.
Did he not assist Götze's goal in the final?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
he
off
did.
the bench as well,
really, honestly, really big impact in this tournament.
No, I loved him
really
off the
liked
bench.
him. He was a really good player.
Yeah, he was. Now he's like he does like long distance running, like all these like extremes. Like if you find him on social media, he's doing all. I've seen him like in the coldest places. Because remember, he just retired. He retired out of nowhere and then started doing all that.
I remember he was saying Mourinho basically killed him confidence wise. Like,
yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
I'll say but yeah, Schurrle and Oscar, same guy, man. They left with something.
Schurrle, James, thank you so much for going down this trip down memory lane with me. This has been a very fun one for some people. I'm sure any Brazilians are probably cussing us out in the comment section down below. But I've really enjoyed it. Thank you guys for joining me. It's been another episode of Rematch. Myself, Lias Bouzidi. Like, share, subscribe, and we will see you for the next episode. Peace.